It was horrible. It's like being a prisoner in your own home.
Being part of a Muslim community, it's not easy to talk about stuff like this.
Within the South Asian community, you cannot speak about suicide.
They're calling it the silent pandemic. A quarter of those who live in Bradford are aged under 20. It's proudly dubbed Britain's youngest city. But during the last year, many of those young people say they've struggled with their mental health.
I was lonely. We had no one to talk to. I mean, there's this thing called social media. It's not really social. Honestly, everyone's just isolating, everyone's online texting, and people texting each other, it wasn't a positive thing. I mean, the COVID messages were all negative. This will happen, that will happen. People are passing away. We were all scared. My anxiety levels were going through the roof.
Ali Islam is 18, his friend Umayma Sadiq, 16. Both found lockdowns difficult to deal with.
Was it difficult? Because there is still a stigma, isn't there, within the South Asian community when it comes to talking about mental health?
Obviously, speaking about mental health in the Muslim community, as soon as you say mental health, it's like, oh, she's AWOL, like she don't know what she's on about, or she's possessed, or she's got something, someone's done something on her.
From our background as a South Asian, I say, Mum, I'm going through mental health issues. Mum will say, what mental health issues? I've raised 4 kids, I've done this, I've done that, I do the cooking, I do the cleaning. What about my mental health?
The teenagers are hoping to use their experiences to change attitudes.
All the highs and lows, said I'm gonna win, though the world might spin.
They've both taken part in this film, Frank and Forthright. It documents the experiences of young people in the city.
I didn't know how to talk about it or who to talk about it as well.
The film was made by a community centre called Khidmat, which means to serve, after they saw record referrals for mental health issues.
Our hope from this film is for young people to actually have their voices heard, to be involved in the policy decisions that are made within the city, and be able to really have those very open and frank conversations with service providers and policymakers.
Ali is an amateur boxer and says his anxiety began when his youth club had to close.
I'm really passionate about it. So every day I was at boxing. And then once upon a time, boom. Lockdown, complete silence, no boxing, nothing. And that had a huge effect on my mental health.
But as well as fighting his own fears about COVID, Ali says he had to deal with outsiders blaming his community for spreading the disease.
For example, in our community, we have a lot of people in a small household. People say, you're the blame for COVID, you've got a lot of people, you're spreading the virus. But that's not the case. You can't just pin it on them just because they have a lot of people in their household.
Bradford is home to England's largest Pakistani community. Many settled here in the 50s and 60s to help keep the textile mills running. Historically, these multi-generational households were more likely to experience poverty and deprivation.
I don't know if I'd ever go back to 100%, and I'm not just saying physically, even mentally, you know. I don't think I'll ever go back to being who I was.
Mariam Zamir lives in a household of 8. Although originally told her elders were most at risk, a few weeks into the first lockdown, the 18-year-old was herself hospitalised with COVID. On a ventilator in ICU, she was told by a doctor she may have to be put into a coma.
She just said, look, I'm really sorry, but you're going to be in a coma for 8 weeks, and we'll look after you, but, you know, you're really poorly, and we need to do this for you. I just thought, I don't care whatever happens to me. I just want to see my mum and dad and my family for the last time.
Whilst Mariam was in ICU, her granddad was also admitted with COVID.
My granddad was called Mohammed Bashir. He was 85, and I was really close to my granddad.
Mr. Bashir passed away before Mariam was able to see him. The teenager was deeply affected by his death.
But there are still people in the community who believe that COVID is a hoax or who won't take the jab. How does that make you feel?
A lot of people still don't believe in COVID until today, which kind of blows my mind. But, you know, that's just, I can't change people's mentality. I try.
Trying to cut through the taboos and open up conversations about mental health. Teenager Hasnan Shafiq says 3 of his friends took their own lives during the last year.
It hurts you a lot because it's somebody close to you. They had a really huge impact upon me and upon my mental health.
It must have been difficult for you to talk about because taking your own life is haram in Islam.
Within the South Asian community, you cannot speak about suicide.
To try and encourage young Muslim men to talk about their feelings, Hasnain set up this barber's shop.
When you wake up on a rough morning and say, you know what, I'm going to go to a haircut. When they go for the haircut, you speak to the barber while they're getting the haircut, because what happens in the barber shop stays in the barber shop.
Breaking the silence to tell their own stories and to offer their own solutions. Darshna Soni, Channel 4 News, Bradford.